The moment the single-dad mechanic stepped onto the shoulder of the highway, wiping grease from his hands, his past slammed into him harder than any memory ever had, because the face bent over the open hood of the police car was the one he had spent years trying to forget, the one tied to a night that broke his life in two and forced him to become strong in ways he never wanted to be. The wind cut across the empty road, the sky stretched wide and unforgiving, and as he walked closer with his toolbox, his chest tightened, because some faces never fade no matter how much time passes. Before the story pulls you any deeper, take a second and connect with this moment. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet acts that change lives forever, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Ripple of Kindness, where stories like this remind us who we really are. He had not planned to stop that day. He was already late picking up his daughter from school, his mind crowded with the usual worries that came with being a single father on a mechanic's paycheck. Every extra job mattered. Every delay felt dangerous. But when he saw the patrol car pulled over with its hood up, and the officer standing alone on a long, empty stretch of road, something inside him refused to keep driving. That instinct had guided him ever since his wife died, the instinct to help, to fix, to make sure others did not feel abandoned the way he once had. So he pulled over, grabbed his tools, and walked forward, unaware that he was stepping straight into an unfinished chapter of his life. Years earlier, his life had collapsed in a single night. A misunderstanding, a traffic stop, a moment of fear and pride colliding had ended with him in handcuffs, his reputation shattered, his marriage already fragile, and then gone entirely when illness took his wife months later. He had never blamed anyone out loud, but inside, the memory of the officer who arrested him burned like a scar. That face was etched into his mind, frozen in authority and distance, and it haunted him through long nights in the garage when the only sound was metal and his own breathing. He rebuilt himself quietly after that, raising his daughter alone, teaching her honesty, patience, and the belief that people are more than their worst moments. Now that same face was older, lines etched by years of service and unseen burdens, but unmistakable. The uniform was different in shade, the posture slightly more tired, yet the presence hit him just the same. His hands trembled as he leaned over the engine, forcing himself to focus on the familiar comfort of parts and problems he understood. Engines were honest. They failed for reasons that could be traced and repaired. People were harder. Memories were worse. As he worked, the road remained silent, broken only by the sound of wind and distant birds. He noticed small details he had missed before, the officer's tense shoulders, the way she checked her radio repeatedly, the concern hidden beneath professionalism. This was not just a uniform. This was a person stranded, vulnerable, far from backup. And in that moment, something shifted inside him. The anger he had carried for years felt suddenly heavy and outdated, like a tool left at the bottom of a box long after it stopped being useful. The repair was simple for him, a loose connection, a problem he had solved hundreds of times before. Yet, emotionally, every second stretched. He remembered his daughter's laughter that morning, the way she trusted him completely, the way she believed the world was still mostly good. He wondered what kind of example he was setting right now, standing inches away from someone tied to his worst memory. Was kindness only for those who had never hurt us, or did it matter most when it cost something? As the engine came back to life, the tension on the roadside eased. The officer's relief was visible, not dramatic, but real. Gratitude softened her expression, and for a brief moment their eyes met. In that glance, years of misunderstanding and silent resentment seemed to flicker. He realized she might not even remember him, might not know the ripple her actions had caused. Or maybe she did, and carried her own version of the story, heavy in ways he could never see. Life had taught him that everyone carried unseen weight. Driving away afterward, his hands still shook, but his chest felt lighter than it had in years. He was late picking up his daughter, but when he saw her waiting, backpack too big for her shoulders, smiling the moment she spotted him, he knew the delay had been worth it. That night, as they sat together over a simple dinner, he felt something loosen inside him, a knot he had forgotten was there. He slept better than he had in a long time, not because the past had changed, but because his relationship with it had. Days passed, then weeks, work continued, life stayed demanding, but something inside him had shifted permanently. He noticed himself smiling more, reacting with patience instead of reflexive bitterness. Kindness had not erased his pain, but it had redefined it. It had taken a moment that could have reopened an old wound and turned it into a quiet victory he never expected. Near the end of summer, an envelope arrived at his garage, official but careful. Inside was a letter of appreciation from the department, not grand, not public, but sincere. It spoke of gratitude, of service, of recognizing humanity beyond roles. He read it twice, then folded it carefully and placed it in his toolbox, not as proof of redemption, but as a reminder that the world could still surprise him. Just before this story ends, I want to ask you something important. Please comment below and share what you believe matters more, holding on to old pain or choosing kindness even when it's hard. Because that choice, the one made on the side of a quiet road, did not change the world overnight. It changed one man, one father, and through him, a child who would grow up believing that strength is not found in anger, but in compassion. If this story touched your heart even a little, if it reminded you of a moment you almost drove past but didn't, please like, share, and engage with this video. Your support helps stories like this reach others who need to believe that forgiveness and kindness still have power, and that even the heaviest past can be softened by one brave human choice.